It just got very real for the New York Knicks as there has been a lot of talk recently, and Leon Rose is ready to strike for the Knicks. While also we have another shocking update in regards to the New York Knicks in free agency as well, and we're going to break all this down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. And guys, if you're a part of that 66.5% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe right now. We have daily videos. You do not want to miss out on all the good content. But let's jump into it. Well, yep, the New York Knicks might be in the middle of a playoff series between them and the Boston Celtics, a series that continues tonight, May 7th. However, that does not mean that the rumors have slowed down at all for the New York Knicks. There's been a lot of talk recently on what if this Knicks team does not work out. Is Leon Rose going to try to make some changes? Is Tom Thibodeau going to be one of them? Likely so. Is on top of that, Leon Rose, in fear of his job, potentially going to make a bigger move to try to make the New York Knicks a better team? There's been a lot of whispers, even after the New York Knicks gave away a haul of first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, about them acquiring none other than superstar former MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. This has been a consistent topic for a bit now. There's been a lot of talk surrounding Giannis and the New York Knicks, and when it comes down to it, we know that Leon Rose is ready to make surprising trades at all times. He's come out of nowhere before and made deals, and at this point, nothing should surprise Knicks fans because Leon is always out there making trades. When you think about the big blockbuster trades recently in basketball, most of them have involved the Knicks, whether it was the OG Anunoby deal or the Karl-Anthony Towns deal that shook up the NBA universe or the Mikal Bridges trade. Leon Rose is out there making moves constantly to try to make this New York Knicks team a better winning team. Now, he's done a great job at that. The New York Knicks just shocked the Boston Celtics in Game 1, stealing that away from the Celtics and making things a whole lot more uncomfortable for Celtics fans around the world, believing they were going to walk through a New York Knicks team. However, that does not mean Leon Rose is done looking at guys like Giannis, and there's been recent reports showing that Giannis, he clearly has a lot of interest in going to the New York Knicks. That was mentioned by Howard Beck, saying that he poked around a few days ago about the initial thing that he got from one person that was just some rumblings that it's already just the big cities for Giannis. One of the LA teams or one of the New York teams or maybe Miami. Not a big market, but a glamour market, mid-sized market. As Beck said, I think they threw Chicago in there. I can't remember if Houston came up. It should. So first is like, where does Giannis want to go, and do they honor that? Because again, back to Damian Lillard, you're not obligated to honor that situation. We remember Damian Lillard make things very clear that he wanted to go to the Miami Heat. He wanted to play with Jimmy Butler. He wanted to team up with Jimmy and Bam, thinking that those three would be able to produce an NBA Finals level team. And a lot of people agreed that that would be a very dangerous team between Butler and Bam, who had already made the NBA Finals, now adding in a talented Damian Lillard who was incredibly hungry. However, none of that ended up happening. Lillard ended up on the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that he has not really seemed to be super thrilled about being on. Lillard, who's gone through some personal situations in the recent years, has also said that he doesn't know anyone in Milwaukee, so he's just mainly going home and hanging out. He's clearly not very happy there, and he's not going to be there in the long term. Now, Damian Lillard, he did tear his Achilles. He's out for most likely the majority of next season, if not all of it. He's an older guy. There's a lot of fear about how he'll come back, and, well, the Milwaukee Bucks, they got Lillard under a massive contract for the next 2 years, so it's likely it's going to be hard to move that contract. However, Giannis is not going to be hard to move because he's one of the best players in basketball. He came in third in MVP voting this year, and basically I'm saying that because despite the fact that MVP voting has not come out, they're in the top three, or Giannis is in the top three with Shea and Jokic, as we all know, and this is no shade towards Giannis, but we know that it's going to be between Jokic and Shea, and it should obviously be Jokic. I mean, that's been made very clear, but it's going to be Shea, and shout out to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander for an awesome season. He deserves all the credit in the world for that. If it is Jokic, I think he does deserve it more. I'm also a huge fan of Shea, so no part of me is going to be upset about it. I just like when the MVP goes to the best player who's done the most for their team, and to me, that's Jokic. So, all this being said, the New York Knicks find themselves in a situation where it's very a real possibility that they could end up with Giannis. I mean, Giannis instantly darted to New York City the second that the season for the Bucks ended, staying with his family in New York. He owns multiple businesses in New York as well, and there's a lot of chatter about this happening. Now, Giannis wants the glamour market. The Nets, we've already seen, are not a glamour market. We saw it with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. The marketing was not great. The tickets were still cheap. James Harden was out there buying tickets for Nets fans in that playoff run. That is insane. That, you know, that 2021 playoff run they had when they lost to the Bucks in 7 games because the entire Nets outside of Kevin Durant were injured. Look, at the end of the day, the Nets would have won the finals that year had they stayed healthy, but they didn't, and still no one cared. People were not going to their games. James Harden had to buy tickets and give them away for free to fill up Barclays Center. New York is a 95-5 split. 95 Knicks fans, 5% Nets fans. And look, here's the deal. That's not the case with the other New York teams because they've been here for a while. The Jets and the Giants in football have been here for a while. The Giants, I'd say probably 65-35, and that's the second biggest split. I don't really count the Rangers and the Islanders. It's such a different thing considering the Rangers are in New York City, the Islanders are in Long Island, and then also there's the New Jersey Devils, which throw things around because there's kind of like 3 teams in this close area, so that's a whole different ballgame. Also, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the first thing about hockey. If I'm being honest, I don't. I know that Igor is the highest paid goalie in the NHL, and that's affecting the Rangers in a negative way because now they don't have a ton of money to spend elsewhere. But outside of that, just go check out Rangers Digest and have Darius Dominguez explain all of that to you because Darius is the man. But on top of the Giannis situation, we also see the Yankees and the Mets, which is like, I don't know, 55-45 Yankees, 60-40 at best. Yankee fans and Mets fans, it's very, very close because they're both deeply ingrained in New York. The Nets are not. They were a New Jersey team, and New Jersey loved them, and then they moved to Brooklyn for God knows why, probably financial reasons and new ownership because their ownership has switched a lot. They had those guys who were laundering money, like those Israeli, I think they were Israeli guys who were laundering money. They ended up selling the team to Joe Tsai. There was an owner before the Israeli guys. It's been all over the place. Yes, Jay-Z's been slightly involved, but he's always been a minority owner, so that's a little bit different. Look, the Nets are not an interesting brand. They never have been. And you look at how good Giannis is. The only person with more points in him in the Eastern Conference right now, 4 points scored, is Jalen Brunson. And yeah, it's a 53-point gap because Jalen Brunson's that dude. You're telling me Giannis doesn't want to play with Jalen Brunson more than he wants to play with, what, Cameron Thomas? Cameron Johnson? Anyone else named Cameron, maybe? Outside of Cameron Payne because he's on the Knicks? No, he doesn't. Who's on the Nets? He's going to go play with Claxton? No, he's not. Claxton's going to get traded. Probably for Giannis to make the financial situation work. Yes, there is a siren outside because, frankly, I live in the middle of Manhattan. I didn't have a joke for it this time. Look, we've seen mock trades already happen. And yes, they're insane, hence the sirens. That's not a very good joke. It's the best I could do right now. And, look, I don't think the Knicks would trade Mikal, Josh Hart, and 3 firsts, or 2 firsts, really it'd be 3 firsts, and Mitchell Robinson for Giannis. Could they? Yeah, it'd be all pick swaps, but I don't see that deal happening. But also, Leon Rose has no qualms trading people's friends. It's just something he does not mind doing. On top of that, we've seen that Giannis is an elite player in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Bucks don't have anyone else who's been succeeding. Giannis has averaged 33 points and 15 rebounds with 6.6 assists in his 5 playoff games, but it didn't matter. The Bucks lost in 5. They could not do it. And we've seen multiple rumblings that the Knicks are interested. Back in the fall, after the Knicks traded for Mikal Bridges, Mark Stein said the New York Knicks are considered one of the credible suitors for Giannis if he decides to seek a trade from the Bucks. Remember, there's a real world where Giannis makes a short list, and the Knicks are going to be on it. There will be other teams. The Golden State Warriors will likely be there in some capacity. Probably both LA teams. Probably the Nets as well, because he sees that as a real possibility. And honestly, probably the Celtics, because they could trade Jaylen Brown and Porzingis for him. So those are probably the teams. The Heat are rebuilding. I don't think he's going to have too much interest in them. Chicago is a nightmare situation. I don't think they're going to have too much interest in him. So it becomes quickly thinner and thinner and thinner. Are the Celtics actually going to trade Brown and Porzingis for Giannis? Well, if they can, absolutely they are. And it'd be a good trade. And never count out Brad Stevens. Terrifying thought, but it's also a real possibility. On top of that, you look at the Lakers. They have no assets. They're not trading for Giannis. Look at the Clippers. They have very little assets. They're probably not trading for Giannis either. That leaves the Knicks, the Nets, and the Celtics as real opportunities or real options. The Knicks can't beat the Celtics, but they can beat the Nets if the Bucks don't want to have to dive into a rebuild without owning their picks and having New York Knicks draft picks. Now, the Knicks theoretically could trade Cat, Mikal Bridges, and the 3 pick swaps they have for Giannis and Bobby Portis. Is this enough? If it's the best possible offer and Giannis is like, I'm done, dude. I'm not coming back to the Bucks. Then maybe the Bucks accept it. If not, the Thunder could probably trade $75 million first-round picks for him as well, but he doesn't want to go there. He wants to be in a big market. So that really thins out the list and makes this trade more possible. Do we want to do this trade? It depends on the day with Knicks fans, because sometimes we're happy giving away Towns because some weird playoff performances, and some days we don't want to give up Mikal because his defense has been elite all playoffs. However, at the same time, Giannis is an elite defender as well, and on top of that, Mikal has kind of disappointed Knicks fans. Also, is on an expiring deal, so the Bucks can free up some money in the same time. The Knicks take back Bobby Portis, who's been an all-right player, but also would probably want to leave as well. Portis goes back to the New York Knicks, a place where he's played before, and it makes the financials work exactly to the dollar, to the point where it becomes super, super easy to get done. Now, again, it feels unlikely that this happens, but there's also a lot more news with the Knicks. For instance, saying that the Knicks are second, they're literally the second favorites to land Ben Simmons as well. Tom Thibodeau is probably salivating over this because Ben Simmons can guard 5 positions, and he'd probably love it as well with the playmaking and all that. Knicks fans, they're not going to like it as much. They would obviously rather Giannis. Giannis, who put up 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6.5 assists in the regular season, was phenomenal. Shot 60% from the field as well. But also, Ben Simmons, it's interesting that the Knicks are the second favorites for him. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But he put up 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists last season with the Los Angeles Clippers. Was an all-right player, decent defender. But again, Ben Simmons is a very timid guy. It's unclear what's gone on with him, but it's not been great. Guys, what do you think about all this? I know it's the middle of the playoffs, but this stuff comes up randomly, and sometimes you just got to talk about it. How do you guys feel about all this? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.